Please forgive me. It's been so long since I've done one of these. I've missed doing them. Super busy. Apologies. But man, what better time than the week of the start of the NCAA wrestling season? And this season is going to start unlike any other because on day one of the NCAA wrestling season, November 1st, we're going to have the NWCA All-Star Classic. And now this is always a great early season showcase, and this year is absolutely no different. It goes down Saturday, November 1st. Coverage starts at 6 o'clock Eastern. Wrestling begins at 7 Eastern, all live on FloWrestling. Look forward to being there and look forward to seeing some of you guys there. Now, this matchup, there's 10 great Division I matches. That's what I'm going to be talking about here. I'm going to talk about who I think the favorites are in each matchup. And I'm going to go in match order. Okay, starting with 149 pounds, where we're going to see two transfers wrestle one another. Oklahoma State's Casey Swiderski taking on Lachlan McNeil from Michigan. Now, Casey was at Iowa State. Lachlan was at UNC, and now they have new homes. So there's obvious intrigue going into that. But for me, answering the question of who's the favorite, right now, Lachlan McNeil is just a more consistent, proven guy at 149 pounds. Now, Casey's potential is there. His tenacity, when you see this guy in a match, you know you are in for a fight every single time. And I think that's what it's going to take for him to beat Lachlan McNeil. But on paper, the results, and really stylistically, Lachlan is a tough guy to score on. He's got good leg attacks, both sides. He's pretty slick. And I think for Casey Swiderski, if he can kind of unlock his offense and figure out the defense of Lachlan, he's going to be right there to win that match. But on paper, Lachlan the favorite, in my opinion. Then you go to 174. A little more clear-cut here. It's Simon Ruiz taking on Lenny Pinto. Now, Lenny Pinto, another transfer from Nebraska to Rutgers. This will be in front of the Rutgers crowd, which could potentially play a factor. But Simon Ruiz was a big story last year, and he was, in fact, 2-0 against Lenny Pinto last year. However, the difference there was the mat and Ruiz's ability to ride. If Pinto does a good job underneath, that could sway this match. So I think it is a slight edge to Simon Ruiz of Cornell. Then 197, this is maybe one of the tougher ones to assign a favorite to, because you got Joey Novak and Stephen Little. And you would say, well, wait, Novak's ranked higher, and he majored Stephen Little last year. Well, yeah, he did. And then the last time they wrestled, Little majored him. So they've wrestled twice, and they both majored one another. And obviously, I think the reality of that matchup is the truth is somewhere in the middle, right? And so are you going to ask, if you ask me who the favorite is right now, I would say the guy that got the major last time, on paper, Joey Novak. But in terms of a longer track record of consistency, that's Stephen Little. So on paper, you may say Novak's the favorite. I might err on the side of Little's consistency. All I know is that it's going to be an absolutely fantastic match. Novak really came on at the end of last year. A real point scorer, great cradle. He's got a lot to contend with, and Little's going to have to make adjustments to get this win. 125, Eddie Ventresca, Virginia Tech, taking on Sheldon Seymour of Lehigh. Ventresca was a pretty dominant winner. I believe it was an 11-4 score last time around at NCAAs last year. Sheldon Seymour had a great tournament. He beat Luke Lillidahl, but it was Eddie who had the edge on the backside, winning 11-4. And I would say Eddie's track record last year would say he's still a favorite, not just because he won the match, but I think he had a better year last year than Sheldon Seymour. So I'm going with Eddie as the favorite here in this one. And then 157 might be the toughest one to prognosticate. Ty Waters, who's ranked number 5, versus number 4, Daniel Cardenas. Waters from West Virginia, Cardenas, Stanford. Waters, if you remember, man, this guy 2 years ago at NCAAs was unbelievable on the backside. All-American honors, placing 4th. He beat Kyle Parko, I believe, by fall. He dominated Ridge Lovett, who dominates Ridge Lovett? Basically nobody. And Ty is missed last year, was out with injury, but now he's back. He's up a weight. He was huge at 149. And this guy can really score, and he can score a lot of ways. Daniel Cardenas, dog, wrestles extremely hard, tenacious pace, and I think this is one of the tougher ones to guess. I would go with Cardenas as the favorite here, just because he's more proven at this weight and has a little more folk style wrestling last year. But it's really, you could go either way with this one. I'm not even saying that's necessarily my pick, but who's the favorite? I would say probably Cardenas on paper. 165, Hunter Garvin taking on Max Brignola. So another Stanford guy, Garvin from Stanford, Max Brignola from Lehigh. And Brignola, for a young guy who hasn't had a varsity season yet, ranked 7th. This guy's been really good in redshirt. He beat Julian Ramirez, beat a host of other ranked wrestlers to earn a really high ranking in this preseason. But Hunter Garvin to me is the favorite because of his unbelievable point scoring ability, crazy upper body. He can just do some things that a lot of wrestlers can't do. And for that reason, and he found a lot more consistency last year. In previous years, very inconsistent wrestler. Now he found, that sort of stasis, that middle ground of consistency. And I expect that to continue for Hunter. I think he's going to have a nice year. And I think he's a favorite here over Max Brignola. And then 184, man, what a tough one this is. Jackson Smith from Maryland versus Zack Ryder, Oklahoma State. And to me, as excited as I am to see Zack Ryder may be the wrestler I'm most excited to watch the entire All-Star Classic. And the fact that he gets to wrestle someone as good as Jackson Smith makes me even more excited for this matchup, because Jackson, really tough guy to get to, kind of a freak athlete in his own right, sick with duck unders and a variety of attacks. And I think Ryder is going to have a hard time scoring on Jackson Smith. And I think Smith's just overall track record, longevity, and just experience in wrestling and winning these tough matches, it's going to all come for Ryder. But I think right now Jackson Smith has to be your favorite on paper. And then you go to heavyweight, Younger Bastida versus Tay Gadali. Gadali transferring from Campbell to Michigan. Younger, you got to remember, 2 years ago, I know he didn't place 2 years ago when he was out last year with injury, but he beat Wyatt Hendrickson when Wyatt was really wrestling well. He beat Lucas Davison, who made the NCAA finals. He was fantastic that year, and then just kind of fell apart at NCAAs. So now he's back. Now he's healthy, and then he's taking on Tay Gadali, who, no disrespect to Campbell, but when you compare the training situation in Campbell and the partners he's going with to now, it is a big difference, and that is something that could make a difference for Tay Gadali. And I think regardless of Tay, and we could learn a lot, and we could leave the All-Star Classic, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're saying Tay Gadali's the story here, but I think it's Younger. His consistency makes him the favorite going into this. And then 133, oh my gosh, Lucas Bird versus Dylan Shaver. Now, it's number 1 versus number 7, but a couple factors to consider. One, Dylan Shaver at home. He's Rutgers through and through. He's been there. He's a Big Ten champion, and you can imagine Jersey Mike's Arena is going to be ready to explode for Dylan Shaver. For Lucas Bird, he's the reigning NCAA champion, so he is obviously the favorite. But some reasons to think, hey, this is maybe going to be an exciting matchup. They had a 6-5 match last year, very close, and they've been wrestling back. They're both Ohio boys. They wrestled in the state finals in the past. Now, Lucas, I believe, has always won those matchups. But either way, Shaver's been competitive, and what better time to get a win over your longtime rival than at your home gym in front of a raucous crowd at Jersey Mike's Arena. And then you've got the main event, 2-time NCAA champion Jesse Mendez of Ohio State taking on Anthony Etchemandia from Iowa State. And if you watch their quarterfinal match from NCAAs 2 years ago, this is going to be a war, an absolute battle. And you watch that match, you would say it's a coin flip every time. But since that time, Jesse not only went on to win that match in the NCAA tournament, he won the NCAA tournament the next year. Jesse Mendez is the favorite, but don't misunderstand me. This is a match. This is a competitive match. This is a match that Anthony Etchemandia can win, and that's why it's our main event. I cannot wait for this event. These aren't necessarily my winners. These are my favorites. I don't know if I'm going to do predictions. I'm going to be, working this event. I'm the host of the All-Star broadcast. I'm going to be down there interviewing coaches and athletes, so probably not going to do full official predictions, but man, cannot wait for this event. I want to know who you think the favorites are, who your predictions are, and just give me your excitement level for the start of the NCAA season. Thanks for watching.